Welcome to our March show for Gifts of the Sacred Feminine, the Empath Journey. My name is Sharon Carne, and I'm here with Carmen Hansen. And together we are delighted to share our experiences as a highly sensitive person in many different ways that we find are really supportive for being of not only in our own lives, but also of the highest service for each other and our human family. So today's show I'm really excited about because, Carmen, it took me many, many years to learn this one. And it's all about putting down roots or getting grounded. This is a huge issue for highly sensitive people and an enormously important thing for you. So, as I introduce Carmen here, I also want to thank Dr. Ruth Anderson for inviting us to be here with you on the EWN Enlightened Living Network. We're just so excited to be part of this brilliant community. And Carmen is an animal communicator. She's a sound wellness practitioner. She's a shamanic elder. You'll hear a lot of wisdom coming out of her mouth. She's a metaphysical teacher, and she focuses on bringing love and light out into the world. Her website is Chakramize, and there's a link above or below the video. You can go and check it out. Welcome, Carmen. Yay, I love these shows.
Thank you, Sharon. I love these shows too. May I introduce my friend Sharon Carne, who's the founder and director and practitioner for Sound Wellness, the Sound Wellness Institute. They're doing some amazing things right now. Well, I've joined them, so I get to participate in some of those. She's an international speaker, a musician, an international recording artist, a best-selling author, a master sound healer, and my friend. Oh, and you fit grandma in there too, don't you? So,
Oh, I do, yeah.
and you've got a trip coming up soon, so I know you're looking forward to that.
Yeah, babysitting the grandkids can hardly wait.
Seeing the grandbabies.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Carmen, this is one of the things I love about sharing time with you, my friend, is that you are so grounded, and it has taken me many, many years to learn those skills for grounding. And for so many years, I was up in my head. And, I think a lot of people in North America, especially, are encouraged to live their lives up in their heads. And you said the word airhead earlier. That's kind of where I was, which doesn't fit for me at all. But living your life up in your head is only a particle of your life. And what is really, really important, especially these days, and especially as we evolve into a new way of being, is to be here and present in the physical body. It took me a long time to learn that. And so today we're going to be talking about grounding and different challenges involved with that, and also different ways to become grounded. So I love this topic, Carmen, because it took me so long to get here.
It's like we were speaking before the show. It could be an overlooked aspect of our existence, and it's an escape to fly up in the clouds and to not be embodied. And as an etheric being living through this physical body, that's kind of how I think of it. We are tasked to experience this life physically. And when we're in pain or things, trauma, we don't want to think about things. We just fly up in the ethers and hang out, and we don't feel it as much. And in those cases, we're not actually experiencing or even moving. Perhaps the pain is an emotional, grounded, rooted issue. And if we don't ground in and decide how to move that ourselves, if we just are floating up there and experiencing it from up there, we're not actually experiencing our life to our fullest. So I agree that, well, I mean, I have my moments of ungroundedness as well, uh, but I do seem to have some kind of ability to just stay rooted on this earth.
Yeah, I admire that so much, Carmen, because for a long time it was such a challenge for me. And I got to share a story about in our family it was called the Curtis Klutz. My mom's maiden name was Curtis, and she had a huge family, and all of her sisters, and I don't know as much about the brothers, but all of the sisters were always bumping into things. I always had several bruises going from bumping into the corner of the cabinets, the table, whatever. I would fall into it or bump into it or trip on the stairs, those kinds of things. And so we would all laugh about it and call it the Curtis Klutz. But when I finally realized what it was living up in my head and not in my body, once I started doing things like yoga and Qigong and those kinds of embodiment practices, then I kind of knew where my arms and legs were and I didn't have the klutz anymore. Sometimes it comes out, and that's a reminder to be mindful and go, oh, I've been up here and not in here. So I found for me, that was a huge thing.
Huge. And we can, if we're not living in the present moment, we're rushing to do this or do that. We're rushing into the future, or even thinking about the past, perhaps. If we're not in the present, that's the gift of what we have been given is the present.
Mhm.
And so that's another thought too, is we could, be too much in our heads, rushing around to the next thing, or thinking about something else while you're cooking supper and burn yourself. And that's not being present. That's not being here embodied with our bodies. And I know people that go through, they don't want to be in their body. They're in a lot of
Mhm.
discomfort, emotional pain, stress, whatever. And I'm just encouraging everyone to consider that if we're not embracing this existence, this physical existence, we're missing out.
Absolutely. I so agree, Carmen. And what you're saying about the past and the future, that's where the stress is. That's where the regret is. That's where all those feelings are that don't serve us. Where our life is in the present moment, as you were saying. And whatever way you can find, and I find reminders, especially if I bump into things or just small reminders to be in that present moment, because when you remember to be there more and more during your day, then it's like life becomes so joyful. No matter what's going on, there can be challenges, and there can be physical pain or struggles and all of that. That's all part of life, but that can all be managed in the present moment, can't it?
I totally agree. Well said. And
Yeah.
we're sharing tips and tools to help uh, deal with, like, some of our past shows. We've been dealing with how to manage emotional pain, how to even um, physical pain can be manifested from stuffing our emotions. And we can just, if we can continue to learn how to, as I've been doing my whole life, continue to learn how to look at what we're in right now,
Mm-hmm. I agree. And sometimes you have to take a strong, realistic look at what's going on and be present to it. And one of the biggest lessons I learned years ago with shamanic training, Carmen, and this is another funny story, is that one of the exercises we had to do was to write down everything we were afraid of in all the directions of the medicine wheel. So that's 8 directions in our what we were studying of the medicine wheel. And so we had to write down on each topic of each direction everything we were afraid of. And we had to have 3 to 5 in every single one of those. So when you multiply 5 times 8, that's a whole pile of fears that we had in each category. And this is only 8 categories. There's a lot of different categories. So I thought my list was growing. This is part of my own growth and learning, but that is so valuable. And so I wrote down all my fears, and then we were told, okay, now everybody get into small groups, and now you have to share every single one on your list. And I thought, oh crap, I've already paid for this. I can't go. So I decided to volunteer to be the first to share to get it over with. And as everyone else in the group was sharing, you know what I discovered, Carmen, is that every single one of those fears everybody else had. And they're common. And like you said, and another thing I learned from this practice is that looking at the fear, and I shared this in a quote with another group a little while ago, if you stare at those fears long enough, is what I learned, is that you begin to become aware of the soul question that is being asked of you. And so now when a fear comes up, as long as it's not a physical fear, like an angry dog coming at you with fangs bared, that's a different kind of fear. But those fears that are created up here are where most of our fears are. They're imaginative. They're not real. However, they can have a question for you to consider.
Exactly. And those fears create once we start thinking about them, or uh, I hesitate to use the word obsess, but we tend to focus on something, wringing our hands, worrying about blah, blah, blah. And what does that do to our bodies? It creates a chemical reaction in our bodies. And we're in a fight or flight. Even though we're sitting in our living room watching TV or watching the news or whatever it is, and that fear has created a chemical toxic actually, because we hold on to it for a while. If we could just go, oh yeah, that's kind of scary. Why is that scary? Da da da. Release. I mean, it's not quite that simple, but if we could manage it that way, rather than continuing that cycle of, more and more, because the story will grow. The
Mm-hmm.
story will grow in our minds,
Will it ever?
and it gets bigger and bigger, and then it's more unimaginably scary. And holy smokes, what are we dealing with?
Because we're turning our backs and we're running away, right? When you turn around and look at it, then it'll usually dissipate, and then you're left with the question, okay, so this is here.
Yeah.
So what's the next step towards resolving that? And then that can lead into those soul questions that are the great learnings. Totally. Yeah.
And the soul answers even.
Soul answers are even better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, with our world circumstances the way they are today, it's easy to become influenced by the fear, the anger, the frustration, all the stuff that's happening. Plus, we share energetically,
Mm-hmm.
so we're splattering it all over everybody else. So how can we release and transmute that heavy, fearful, anxious anxiety? And how can we lighten the load and support our world at the same time? And these questions I've been asking myself for several years. And I think it's possible to give it to the angels and say, can you transmute this for me and return it in love and light? And then the focus of that anger, that fear, whatever, if it's another person, also receives that blessing rather than your fear, anger, worry. And our task is recognizing that it is movable, it's shiftable, and be willing, because it can feel like an old friend. If this is a pattern, if this is a pattern that we've had for a long time, the releasing that is almost like saying goodbye to a passive aggressive friend that really isn't serving you.
So true. So true. Caprice is here. She's got a comment on the Sound Wellness page, Carmen, and she says, great topic. The balance between being present and allowing ourselves to fly and dream. And what a great comment, Caprice. Thank you for that. Because one of the things I've learned over the years from flying a lot is that when I am most grounded is when I can go the farthest. Do you find that, Carmen? As far as the experience in meditation or in a spiritual practice, if you're well grounded, then the insights, the journeying or whatever appears in the meditation is deeper or farther.
I've deepened. I've definitely felt a deeper access to wisdoms that I might have missed if I was flying at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. that those feet on the ground that are still holding your roots there allows you to experience more clarity, maybe. Yeah. Very cool.
So, what does it feel like to be ungrounded? Maybe we're not even aware. Maybe we don't even understand that this is where we're living constantly.
For me, it was klutzy. If I was bumping into things or spacey, when you look into somebody's eyes and there's nobody there, that kind of look, or there's so much in the head. It's like when you're driving and you don't remember how you got to the red light. It's that kind of is also being ungrounded. And for some people, it's nonstop chatter that is just
either in their mind or speaking. And that's something that's I can really appreciate, that we don't stop. As I'm speaking, and you don't do this very much, but as I'm speaking, you're formulating what your response is. You're not hearing all of, or as you're speaking, I'm formulating a response to you. So if we could be mindful of wrapping that conversation in with golden ears to say, I want to hear every single. Now, it can't happen so perfectly like that because we're human. However, I have worked quite diligently on making sure I understand and hear the other person's point of view. And if they ask for it, because sometimes we're just chattering, we're just releasing emotion, we're just releasing frustration, blah, 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 blah. And we have a tendency to offer a solution. Well, I think you should do this. So you're not listening, you're not being a vessel for that person to release. So that's been an ongoing challenge for me, and I have gotten much better at it.
I know, Carmen, and that's an ongoing challenge for me and probably for most people is to listen with full attention and listen from the heart is another thing I like to do because as an empath, it's feeling the energy behind the words too and listening to the whole thing, not formulating what's up here, keeping this focused on what you are saying. That is a huge honoring of the other person, isn't it? Total honoring of the other person.
Very loving,
Yes.
very loving. And it's hard for us to love ourselves. So it's hard for us to love others.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a gem to me. That's a gem to latch onto and become a practice in your life.
I so agree. I so agree. And it's a really important part of us in coming back to connecting with other people, especially connecting with other people from the heart. Because I think we're all in dire need of that.
And we're all connected. As
Mm-hmm.
we've spoken many times before, we're all connected. So we're all sharing. So when there's a mass, like what's been happening, mass concern around a certain topic, and then we're powerful creators, so we're creating more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we resist persists and pushes back.
Yeah. Yeah. Caprice has a few comments about this too, Carmen. She's saying to hold the space for another to be and process as they are meant to versus fixing in some way. Such a beautiful gift, she says. And holding the space for others, she believes requires total presence. I so agree, Caprice. And beyond any potential triggers and memories in ourselves. Now that is an interesting learning and monitoring as you're monitoring those triggers and what comes up as a trigger, that it's a great learning. However, it can so very quickly take the presence away from being with another person in conversation.
Well said.
Mm, great point, Caprice. Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Thanks, Caprice.
Yeah. Shall we move on to some cool ways to ground, Carmen?
Yes. Have we kind of covered why we get yeah, we have. We've covered why we get ungrounded.
I think so, and how and why we become ungrounded, and then um, we've mentioned things like not wanting to be in the physical body, the klutziness, and for people who are empathic, part of it, and we've talked about this in a lot of our previous shows, is managing the energy around you, managing your own energy and managing the energy around you. And that is, some days the collective human field is feeling quite wobbly to me or wonky. And managing that too has been a practice for me lately.
Mhm.
But that comes from the grounding is so essential in that. I find for me, Carmen, because I need to be grounded in me and then to manage that energy from there and then ask the questions, can I be of service to this today in whatever way?
Or you can. Um, Sometimes the answers aren't clear that day.
Mm-hmm.
Say, okay, I intend to put this aside till tomorrow.
That's a really good tip. I love that. Sometimes I get too stubborn. The stubborn streak comes out, and I don't always think, okay, Sharon, you can put this aside and work with it tomorrow. So thank you for that for me. I appreciate that. Joanne is here too on the Enlightened Living Network. Welcome, Joanne. Welcome.
Yeah.
So, um, do we feel complete with the conversation about being ungrounded and some of the things that can lead to that?
Yes, I feel complete and I'm familiar with it. So if anyone has questions or thinks we need to touch on something else, text them in now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on, but this is streaming live to the Sound Wellness page and to the Enlightened Living page. So please do. I'm keeping an eye on the chat box here. So ways to become grounded. Yay, I love these. So you start, Miss Carmen. You're so good at this.
Well, my practice nowadays is bare feet. Bare feet as much as possible. I even walk out in the snow in my bare feet, and that provides me some cold therapy, which I've been hearing more and more about, which is amazing. It really helps your body regulate. So bare feet on the ground is preferable, and if not, just bare feet in your home. If you can't tolerate that, don't worry. It's my thing for sure, and it's helped me connect with, just think of my roots going down instead of being housed in that, petrochemical boot that that we that we've created, that we've used as shoes. So bare feet on the ground is my first one.
I love that too. Sometimes I'll go out in the backyard, even with the snow there. I'll go out in my shoes and sit on the bench and just kind of stare at the pond covered in snow and the bird bath covered in snow and put my bare feet in the snow. And it does feel good. Yeah, I
Mhm.
quite enjoy that too. Um,
What's your next one?
Oh, I love using sound. There's a couple of them. One of them that's really, really effective is a third chakra sound. So this one is a belly sound. It comes from deep in the belly and it's ho. And I said it very quietly, but it's not how you say it to become grounded in the body. So it's more like ho. It's a low sound and it creates a shock wave that goes through the body because the sound is created inside of you with your voice, and your voice moves every atom of your being with every sound that you make. So when you make a low, loud, strong sound, it sends a shock wave through your cells that brings your awareness into the cells going, whoa, what was that? It's like it wakes everything up. Oh, I love
Oh,
that one. Ho! And it's a strong sound from the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is third chakra, which is all about you. This is your power center. So it's like it turns on the light bulbs in that power center. It's a great sound for that.
I can feel them all blinking around me.
Yeah. Yep.
But
What's
there's
another
a
one?
couple. Let's hear another
Oh,
one.
the other one is to release stress because stress is one of the number one things that keeps you ungrounded. Because when you're stressed, you're all up here. You are not in your heart. When you're stressed, it's all up here in it. Like Carmen was saying earlier, it's that biochemical soup that we live in that is extremely toxic. So this sound helps to release the biochemical soup and calm that down so you can get back into the heart. And it's an ah sound. And I call it a vocalized sigh. It's not quite a singing sound. It's more like a vocalized sigh. Sounds like this. Ah, allowing the sound just to float down and down and down and down. I love that one.
Me too, because that's right from the heart.
Yep.
What's a simple one is breath.
Oh, totally. Don't we forget about breathing?
Well,
Oh,
it's
gosh.
conscious. If we conscious, I mean, without breath, without the autonomic breathing, we would die. I mean, can
Mhm.
you imagine having to think about every breath we took, like every step we took? So what I've been doing is imagining breathing to my toes. So you want to draw it down deep into the pelvis, really, and Then I release just it's not an ah, it's just a, and that's very soothing to the body.
I love that. And especially a really slow breath. I
Mhm.
find that that helps. It's like creating that instant calm. Joanne has a comment here saying she brought a friend with her who is Flo. So welcome, Flo. So glad you're here. This is
Hi, Flo.
awesome. Oh, there's another sound, Carmen, and we do this all the time. We do this all the time. In the animal show, you start with this sound, and this is one of the sounds for the root chakra. It's as in hug. And when you, now this one I usually sing because the singing sound is a more physical sound. So it brings the it brings the awareness into the body. So this is a wonderful way to bring awareness into the root chakra along with your beautiful breath, Carmen. So if we breathe into the lower abdomen and then sing in a low sound of the voice. I do this when I'm driving sometimes when I get to that red light and think, uh-oh, I don't remember how I got here. That was on automatic totally. Then I start singing this sound. Let's do a couple more. Oh, that feels better. Now I feel like I'm inhabiting my body better. Awesome.
Nice. That's a good one. Toning is very grounding. I was thinking, I use my drum at times. That's very grounding when I need it. And do drum baths for small groups. And they travel, but they come back. So it's very interesting because I sing at the same time. So they travel with my voice, but then they can come back with the drum.
Absolutely, Carmen. And those circles are magical. I've been in them. And they are completely magical with the drum and your voice. And I've gone out and come back just as you're saying in those circles. They are exquisite. What a beautiful offering for people just to be grounded and yet go far at the same time with that beautiful voice of yours. Magical circles, Carmen. Absolutely magical.
Hmm.
Favorite ones, yeah.
So how else could we be grounded?
Caprice put one in. She says, you might smile at this one. She says, one way she grounds or gets signals is that when she's grounding is when she yawns. That's a really good point.
Well, you're taking in a lot of breath as well.
And you're releasing when you yawn. It's a sign
Yeah,
of, yeah.
that's
So
a
be,
fabulous comment. That's something I never thought of. Way to
thank
go,
you,
Caprice.
Caprice. That's great. Yeah. Love it. Love it. So
If we're
the
actually in nature on the ground, that's a way as well.
hmm And walking or lying on the ground sometimes, yeah, if I've been working a lot at the computer, it's so nice, at least in the summertime, just to go out and lie on the grass and just go, oh, I'm all yours, Mama Earth. Yeah, and just get back in the body.
And I
Mm.
know that there's such thing as a grounding mat, which you
Hmm.
plug into the it's not three prongs into your outlet, it's just into the grounding outlet piece, and it allows the body to drain, because that's what we're doing if we're laying on the ground like you just mentioned, is we're actually allowing the earth, Mama Gaia, to absorb some of those pains, some of the, I've heard some amazing stories about people that have had MS or, serious things that have actually had a lot of relief from laying as naked as possible. We don't want you to get arrested, but as naked as
Shorts and
possible,
t-shirt. Yeah.
yeah, on the ground.
How beautiful. We got more comments coming in here. Joanne says she likes to sometimes light a candle or hug a tree. Oh yeah, hug a tree. Another thing I love to do is place my back, line up my spine along the trunk of the tree. And there's my huggy tree up the hill here has since fallen down. It I think it was only about 6 inches around. It was a fairly small aspen tree, and I would lean my back against it. And if it was windy, you could move with the trunk of the tree, and then I could plant my feet into the roots of the tree right under my feet, and it just felt like often the tree would just help me drain, like you're saying, when we drain out onto the ground. The tree helped me to do that too, Carmen. And just swaying with the tree with my feet at one with the roots of the tree when it was windy was so beautiful, because it allowed me to get a body knowing of being grounded and yet moving and flexible and in flow. So beautiful. We learned so much from trees. They're so amazing.
They are. What a great thought. I appreciate that one.
And Allison says she's already yawning.
Nice.
Yeah. There's another one that have helped me so much in the past, Carmen, and still does, and that's yoga and qigong practice. The gentle, mindful movements of yoga and qigong, for me, have been enormous in helping me become here in the body more.
Hmm. And being present to, like, our exercise type yoga isn't designed for the mind, but the original yoga is actually for the mind. It's for relaxation, and you just happen to be doing slow, gentle movements. I actually have a restorative yoga coach. Everything is held for, and we're not talking stretching. Like, we don't want to stretch. We can just move it to a certain, okay, is that the first resistance? And then when you feel the release, okay, now it's releasing again. So we we've been in such a hurry to be in good shape, and I don't mind that either. However, we've lost some of I feel, the actual deep wisdom that yoga was founded on. So that can, you could just go to one of those yoga, Pilates, whatever class that's all jumping and, movement, and you get a sweat up and everything. Hot yoga, those things. The original yoga teachers, I find, I had one in Calgary, and she was excellent. Everything, and I fell asleep in several classes. And the class would be laughing at me when I woke up, but it was that is the type of rest and relaxation that yoga was intended to provide. So just thoughts, I'm just putting thoughts out, that if you
Mm.
want to be grounded and you're using yoga to do it, it's mindful of what type of yoga you're using.
I agree. And I like to, if the teacher's going a bit quick for me, I'll slow it down and spend more time in a pose. And there was some triangle poses we were doing. Oh, we did them this morning and we did them another day. And it felt like it just cleaned out the meridian system. It's like I could feel the energy lines in the body flowing smoothly, Carmen. And I've felt that before with Qigong and yoga, if it's been just the right pace for me and my body, that I found that I can feel the energy moving in the body much smoother, or I actually feel it, period. which is an awesome sensation of just kind of checking in. That meridian kind of goes here, and that seems like it's just flowing beautifully. Fascinating. Joanne also says chocolate. Absolutely, chocolate is an awesome grounder. Love that one.
Chocolate coffee.
Oh, even better. Yeah, chocolate coffee. Coffee if you can handle it. I find if I've been really working at a high vibration spiritual level, that I'm vibrating so high that I find coffee helps me to get back into the body again, and even if I have it later in the day, then it doesn't keep me up half the night. Whereas on other days, if I do that, it'll keep me up half the night. It depends on, I guess, for me, where my vibration is at the time. So fascinating.
I couldn't agree more. We had a class. Uh, we were had some students. We were coaching, and I had a coffee. I just felt like I had a coffee. And usually, if I drink a coffee at 8 o'clock afternoon, p.m., it's yeah, I can't sleep. But I was ready for bed after our call. So,
Oh, so very cool.
mhm,
Yeah, how fascinating. You felt that too, Carmen. Very
mhm,
cool.
mhm.
What other things do you do to become grounded?
I drink water. I drink a lot of water, and it's it's an element of nature. So I feel that's helpful.
Hmm. One thing I love to do at the right season is to get outside and get my hands in the soil, in the gardens around the house. And I feel so good after I've been digging I don't like to use gloves. I like to get my hands really mucky and dirty and it just feels so good. And planting in the garden and then tucking all the little baby seeds in and watching them grow. I love that. It's just so nurturing all these little babies along just feels so amazing, and then getting the hands in the soil, just awesome.
And the smell. Oh,
Oh yeah, that too.
oh
Unless the farmers are putting fertilizer on the fields, and then maybe not so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or your neighbors spraying the dandelions.
Mm.
That that's something I'm continuing to educate people about. Our dandelion
Dandelion,
friends.
they're
So
great
you
food
did.
actually.
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
Dandelions are great food.
Oh, they're excellent. And like dandelion root tea, dandelion leaves. I, I'm not sure about the flowers. Those two things I've used is the root and the leaves. Leaves in salad.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, you could rub your feet.
Oh yes, and even any part of the body, rubbing the body really helps keep you here. Yeah.
Even tapping, lightly
Uh-huh.
tapping. You can use an essential oil, perhaps of the tree variety.
Oh yes, I have cedarwood right here on the desk always. I love this one.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, and the grounding oil is another beautiful one. I'm getting low on that. I need to order more. That one is a mixture of tree oils that is just so exquisite for grounding.
Yes, I've seen that in action.
Yeah. Also, dark stones. Sometimes I have a number of dark stones here that are really helpful for a physical thing. Oh, yeah, and I have that here too. Right, this is shungite.
This is
Right
shungite.
by yeah, I have my little shungite egg right by the computer here. I love that one.
hmm
Um,
What
black
else? Oh,
black
well,
tourmaline.
we talked. Oh yeah, black tourmaline, obsidian,
Hmm.
shungite, uh,
Smoky quartz.
smoky quartz.
There's Tibetan black quartz. I have a beautiful, I have several of those, but one beautiful one that is exquisitely grounding. It's awesome.
Yes, yes, we've used that in our classes.
Hmm.
Um, have we explored all the stones?
I
Hmm.
think the grounding ones.
So what else could we use? We could use. Well, we mentioned the trees earlier and connecting with the root system, which we've come to be educated that is the mycelial network. And so that can just talk you to the trees. So we're putting out whatever feels like are you drawn to? What is each individual? Because we're all bio individual and we like different things. So, oh, okay, today I'm holding on to my shungite. Okay, that's very grounding. Use grounding oil, whichever um, method you come up with. I think it's really helpful to do these things. Take a bath in salt water.
Very
Epsom.
clearing.
Very clearing, allows it to drain. And I've been recently, I have been heard in my head to take a shower after to rinse off that which has been cleared out by the salt water, to
Hmm.
rinse it off. So um, the K1 point on your
Oh,
feet.
on the foot, yes. You could massage that, or I use a tuning fork on it, and I find that very grounding because it's the first point of the kidney meridian, and it's right at the ball below the kind of in between the first, and it's kind of hard to get our feet up to the camera,
Let
Carmen.
me see.
There we go, right there. Thank you. That's awesome. Perfect to help everybody know where it is. Um,
And
yeah.
then, did you know that if you press that, there's been some research on if you are in a crisis or a person is in a crisis and their body is shutting down, you can press hard into that spot and it's almost like a reset.
Oh, wow. That's really good to know. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Mm-hmm.
cool, Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Oh, Caprice has some more comments up here. Teas work, herbal teas. Ah, yeah. Oh, something that like chocolate melts slowly and focus on the experience. Yeah. And walk outside or rub the plants that are fragrant. Yeah, you can take a leaf of a plant if it's safe and rub it onto the skin or rub it in your fingers. Doing that with thyme, I have some creeping thyme in the garden, and that's neat to grab a couple of leaves and just rub it, and then you get the scents. Chives is another really fragrant. A lemon balm is another one that's the leaves, when you rub them, have this beautiful lemony scent. So many of the herbs have, when you rub them. What's another one? Oh gosh, there's so many of them.
Well, I mean, you
Basil.
could use
Mm.
juniper,
Yes. Oh yeah. We have a lot of that
basil,
here.
oregano. I
Hmm.
mean, we grow some of those things. Mint.
Yes, mint is lovely.
That's a little bit sparkly. Like, I don't, yeah, I guess it's grounding. Any plant essence basically is very grounding.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. These are awesome, and thank you to all our amazing listeners for putting in all of these great comments and things that you find are wonderful for grounding.
So
That's
nice to
awesome.
have you here with us. I'm so excited.
Hmm.
I think we're just about ground to a halt here.
I think we're pretty well complete, but there's one more thing I was thinking that might be fun to complete our show with, and that is a little song or ditty. Carmen, what do you think? If you go into your heart, you're so good at this, to sing and move to a little song, even if it's a made up song that we can have some fun with.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the day. Thank you for the rocks and trees. Thank you for my nose and knees. Thank you for just everything. Thank you for the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the day.
Oh, that was just so perfect. Thank you, my friend. And let us, on that note, let us end our show here. Thank you to all our amazing listeners.
Thank you. See you next month.